Wolfgang, and what you have said that, of course, we rely on some other people. So, could you mention the names of people you are mostly grateful for? So, people who have influenced your scholarly career most.
Well, I mean, some of those people, well, the people who have been the most influential, also to my wife Barbara, once we met and so on, was my American family, George and Catherine Shum, from outside Detroit. They really kind of became my substitute parents and also my wife's over many years after we were married. They had two sons. George is a philosophy professor at Ohio State, and Tom is a businessman. But in that family, Anna, whatever you want to call it, my intellectual development blossomed. I mean, I was in an environment that was not only intellectually inclined, but also very much involved in philanthropy, in caring about African Americans. For example, they had an African American girl, our age, Gloria, who spent time with us and so on. So I learned a great deal from them. Then, of course, once I went to the university, a number of professors, like in your life too, I mean, professors have an incredible influence on us, not always necessarily positive, but you can also learn from a professor not to do certain things. But anyhow, my experiences have been very, very positive. And really, Anna, I think to mention some people whom you know or whom other people know, there are two people, two professorial colleagues that stand out, and there are many others, but there are two that stand out, and that is, of course, Alan Dundes here in America. Once I met Alan Dundes, and I know exactly when, in 1973, at an American Folklore Society meeting in Nashville. He and I just bonded. I mean, he, as I said, he was 10 years older. He was so famous that I couldn't, barely touch him. But we became such good friends and learned from each other, or I more from him than he from me. But, and of course, I traveled out to California every year to the Western States Folklore Society meeting. So I always spent 1 or 2 days with him. So in a way, Anna, I could have developed into a run-of-the-mill German professor. That would have been perfectly fine. But once I met Alan Dundes, and of course you know this, I had written my dissertation on the use and function of proverbs in Jeremias Gotthelf, a Swiss novelist. So in a way, I was already doing proverb studies. But once I met Alan Dundes, he opened up international folkloristics for me. Mm-hmm. So that was one luck. My other fortune was a person whom you also know, and that's Lutz Röhrig in Germany.
Yes.
So Lutz was 20 years older than I. He died in 2006. And I also published our correspondence. So my incredible fortune, Anna, has been that I had Alan Dundes as a mentor and friend and colleague here in the United States. And I had Lutz Röhrig as a mentor and friend and colleague in Germany. So Lutz Röhrig introduced me to the European Society of Folk Narrative Research. Alan Dundes did it here. Both of them, this is kind of with all humility, I will say this, both of them wanted me to come either to Berkeley or to Freiburg. So I always knew I could move on. But notice, Anna, both of them left me by now 15 years ago. So if I had moved to Berkeley, or if I had moved back to Germany, I would long have been alone by now, you know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that you would have been alone.
Yeah, well, anyhow,
I'm sure that you would have met a number of others.
But now, in addition, now, Anna, those are my two heroes. You know, that is a known fact, and I've never hidden it. And I personally feel I owe my my little successes in many ways to them. But then there are so many people whom you already mentioned, Demetrius Lucatos, you know, who lived to be almost 100. You already mentioned, or I mentioned, Vilmos Voigt. Still in contact with Vilmos. We write once in a while. But there's Carl Lindahl, whom of course you know. There are, there are, you know, there's Kazis Grigas, there's Jula Pajolet, there are Rui Suarez. You know all my friends. Yeah, I mean, as I say, there will be so many names. But one thing, Anna, that I always tell my students is that, you know, we all, the interrelationship, I think, among professorial types, you know, the learning from each other and the supporting each other is, I think, so very important. And not to forget that you are only a little chain, little link in a giant international chain. And, you know, during your life, you can play, that's my clock, you can play a little role. And not to forget that there were many important people that came before you. Now, in our proverb research, Anna, I mean, there were people like Archer Taylor, Bartlett Jerry Whiting, you know, Matti Kuusi, of course. What would we be without them?
Yes.
So I resent the term cutting edge research because it neglects that whatever new things you and I discover, Anna, almost always isn't really possible without standing on the shoulders of some of those heroes. You know, and I think we should not forget that. Now, let me say one other thing about cutting research while it's on my mind. Cutting research is, of course, very, very important. In other words, being at the at the most modern part of whatever scholarship you happen to be doing. But what I think many people forget is that research projects also have, to a certain degree, just basic hard work. You know, you can't be an Albert Einstein all the time. You know, you can have that one breakthrough, real breakthrough in your career or in your life, or two maybe, or three. But there is nothing wrong in saying, I will dedicate my life to collecting anti-proverbs. So much of that is basic labor, but it has to be done. It has to be done. And that's why I think publishers are so wrong when they don't want to publish collections, especially in folklore, Anna. Folklore needs collections, need texts. Otherwise, all the theory is no good if we don't also have the materials to back them up. So anyhow, I just thought I'd throw that in because in academia, people who judge you or a young assistant professor, they are too quick to belittle certain types of scholarship, like book reviews. Someone has to write book reviews. We all like them. But so we shouldn't belittle it when someone writes a book review, you know, or publishes a collection. Or publishes an article in a journal that is a regional journal and not in the best Hungarian journal like you have done. So in other words, some projects, no major university press or no major international renowned journal will publish because they're too specific. But that doesn't make them bad.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
So those are some things that I worry about at times. At my age, Anna, it is irrelevant to me. I can do whatever I want. But if I were a young assistant professor, I would have to play the game, wouldn't I?
Absolutely. Wolfgang, and as far as I can remember, you are 76 years old right now.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Getting there.
Okay, and just to those of you who are going to watch us, I would like to show to you 3 festschrifts. I contributed to 3 of them. And if you do not know what a festschrift is a collection of articles, scholarly articles, which are put together in order to celebrate a scholar's birthday. And most frequently, people start gathering these articles when someone is 70 years old or maybe even older. But Wolfgang, with you, that was the first festschrift I contributed.
That was the big surprise.
So,
yes.
And you were even present there.
That was in Veszprém, right?
Yes. It was in Veszprém, and you were only 60 years old, and this was the
Csaba Földes edited.
Yes. Csaba Földes, and I also contributed this.
Of course you did, sure.
Yes, and there was this festschrift I also contributed, so I was very happy.
Joanna, if I may say, I like the title of this particular festschrift, the proverbial Pied Piper. That was a wonderful idea because I teach the Pied Piper legend, so I was very touched.
Yes. And actually to this festschrift, I even contributed with 2 articles. One article was in English and another one was in Russian language.
That's right. I like that it was in Russian.
In Russian, yes.
So that too, the title, Bis dat ki cito dat, is kind of a Latin proverb that I don't know. I kind of made my modus operandi in my life. As you know, Anna, I was chair of the German-Russian department for more than
25 years or for 30 years.
31, I guess.
Or 31, yes.
Yeah, and then I gave it up with a heavy heart because I really enjoyed being chair of the department. But younger people need a chance. And anyhow, I've always felt that in a leadership position, let's just say as a chair or as a professor or as a human being, if you have a chance to help someone, I think you should do it quickly rather than saying, let's just say someone comes to your office and says, Anna, can you help me with this? And then you kind of already know you can probably do it, but you say, well, let me think about it. I might have to do a little bit of checking. Anyhow, I always feel that he or she who gives fast gives twice. I think that is not a bad philosophy most of the time, anyhow. And I was so tickled that Kevin McKenna and Christian Grandel, the editors of it, chose that as a title. I was deeply touched by that.
Wolfgang, and I know that almost always you responded to me within 24 hours time. So if you do not travel, so you always respond at time. So it means that you do things really fast.